Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another review, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the high-grade BOCATA'S Gelgoog from Gundam G-Quax. This right here is a straight-up recolor of a kit we would have seen before. This version of the Gelgoog, the one that came out a few months ago, so right now it is build miss. This is build number 26 of 50, and I guess that is kind of the cool thing about doing build miss. The fact that I get to actually cover some kits that I would technically skip on, because this is just a recolor and doesn't really need a full review in its own right, because it's the same thing, but a different color. But we get to look at it, see its pros, its cons. Mainly going to be pros because I love the G-Quax Gelgoog, but yeah, if you do want some gunpla of your own, I got mine right here through those awesome people over at Hobbylink Japan, so link is down there in the description. Now let's get it built. Alright, so on busting open the box, if I recall correctly, there's not a crazy amount of plastic in here, so 3 boxes about average for a G-Quax kit, some nice colors in there, and then we've the manual down in the bottom. So when it comes to the manual, there we go, we've got the image off the front of the box, the blurb about the particular Gelgoog in question. Around the back, we've got a lot of nice images of what this will look like complete, with, I would say, a little bit of panel lining and painting by the looks of things, because I know the backpack round here is not quite as color accurate as that right there. All those little thrusters you will have to paint in. Overall, though, it is a very interesting take, I guess, on the gym. And I can remember the articulation on this is incredibly fun. Simple one-peg joints, but what you get out of it is great. In here we do have 8 runners, one of which is tiny. We've got beams and some stickers too. Otherwise, what we've got is your usual kind of fold-out pamphlet. And as for the plastic, when it does come to the runners in here, we've got some great color separation and some very nice colors. Some nice, almost olive militaristic green. The reds on here, much duller and more subdued a hue than you'd see on your standard gunpla. Lots of nice, very dark gray. This is even grayer than actually turns up on camera. Some nice turquoise. The beams are in that absolutely stupendous G-Quax pink. And as for unique aspects, we do have some wire in here for the wire anchor fist. And when it comes to color correcting stickers, they're not so bad. It's just some yellow ones in here, but this doesn't make up for all the kind of subtle detail you will have to detail up. So first off, jumping on into the leg, and this is what one leg looks like complete. So essentially the same as what we would have seen with the other Gelgoog. That right there is the bend at the knee, so considering just how simple the articulation is on this, you get some nice movement out of it. A toe bend as well, some very nice detailing, including the propellant tank inside of the leg and up here as well. Again, one of the finest designs in G-Quax, definitely. Throwing it side by side with the normal version right there, you'll see that they've actually used the color separation maybe a little better here, especially on the plate on the front of the leg. We do have some dark gray up top, whereas the other one was just all white the whole way across, so very nice. One of the coolest design elements in these Gelgoogs is the attachment and the build of the propellant tank. So one half pops in, you then pop the thruster in there inside, then the other side, the propellant tank attaches on just like so, and it does move inside like so. It's cool design. You continue along the build, there are some stickers, yellow ones you have to pop on here and there. They're not too bad, they're just, you line them up with the edges, simple. Continue on building a little bit more, and then you end up at the second propellant tank. So this builds onto the lower leg like that, or should I say onto the upper leg, because that's the lower leg attached down below. Closes up like that. 2 more stickers attach around the fuel tank like so. Finally, then you add on some armor onto the front of the leg, pop the foot together, it does have a nice toe bend in the build, and then the foot actually attaches on from the side onto a peg. So again, a lot of single peg joints in this design that work out so well. The build of the waist unit's super simple because it's all based around this pre-molded central section, so no dropping mechanisms in the waist, just standard holes. You just throw a couple of elements as well as some armor on, some moving side skirts attached via ball joints onto the side, and that is it. Moving on to the torso, and you start off with the arm joints. So what we've got is a pair of pegs that almost be somewhat more like a master grade kit than you would see on a usual high grade. Very nice. The backpack builds directly on, so no usual high grade double peg adapter. Continuing on building some more of the articulation in here, and this is extremely impressive. There's multiple points of plastic on plastic articulation in here, and I hope Bandai continue this on in future with the new lines of high grades, whatever they're going to be, because this is sheer perfection, works well, and is just impressive all around. Finish it off then with the cockpit section, bring this bit down from up top, lock it in with the chest piece, and then we got these funny little bits of detail which pop just up here, and there it is complete. Great color scheme. Moving on up to the arm now, and this is what we get once complete, and it does look a little bit on the plain side out of box. We do have some nice joints in this. The simple elbow actually gets you a lot more than you'd expect from just a standard peg. The shield section does move, the shoulder is stuck to the arm, and we've got your usual kind of ball joint wrist. The design of the shoulder joint here is great. You've got this section that pops in like this, so you've got a really nice robust hinge, and then that gets locked in by a sandwiching piece up top, just like so. The elbow is just a peg hole, but this does have one of those keyhole joints in it, so it does mean it locks in, so it's not going to be popping off on you. Final assembly then just involves the fist, shoulder attaching down from above, and then the forearm shield attaches on via a 3mm peg. Overall, very, very simple, but befitting a grunt style suit. Last up then, we're going to be building the head, and this is what it looks like complete. So quite a bit of detail all over it. Again, that would pop a lot better with a bit of panel lining. A little bit something like this one right here. And when it does come to the build, you just snap the neck in from the back, roll it forward, attach in the color separated parts for the head cameras, the top armor, the side armors, the front face plate, followed by the little eye section. And again, that right there is what you get complete. Again, it would have been nice if there was some kind of like reflective or metallic or clear section to the visor and the head camera, but it's just color separated into that nice turquoise color, but it might be worth hitting with something a little bit more metallic. Alright, so there's all the elements of the robot complete, so it's time to pop it together. So overall, the design here is simple but so effective. So nice peg joints, good and strong into the hips. Feel good. Again, the detailing on the legs on this is absolutely incredible. You pop a ball joint into the waist like that. The shoulders are, again, very nice joints, smooth and strong. They pop on into the shoulders like so. And then the head is a combination ball joint and a hinge. So all the articulation on this is such a joy to pose. Even though it is so simple, what they crammed into it articulation-wise is really, really fun. Anyway, aesthetics time. So jumping now on into the aesthetics, and this is what it looks like complete. I did forget to throw the backpack on during the build, but there it is on now. But anyway, that right there is what the high-grade BOCATA'S Gelgoog from G-Quacks looks like. Again, it is a color variant of what we had seen before, but this is one cool color variant. First off, this might be the closest thing we will ever get in plastic design-wise to the cool thigh-high jegging from Hathaway's. Overall, it's a very cool design. The color combination is very atypical for a Gundam kit with that nice dark grey, white and subdued red color scheme. All topped off with the nice militaristic olive details. Once again, this right here is it out of box straight built, so I haven't pan lined it up or anything like that to make the detail that is on it pop like I did with the other version, and we will do a little bit of a comparison in a minute, but let's take a bit of a closer look at each element that makes up the G-Quacks Gelgoog here. So first off, zooming on into the head, and it's hard not to see the mecha equivalent of a Minecraft villager going on right here. Besides that, there's a stripped down looking version of a mecha, which really does have that kind of real robot aesthetic to it. It's not eyes, it's a big old sensor. Both Vulcans are on one side of the head as well, and we do have an antenna there for long-range communication. Same goes for the torso. We've got a really stripped back, military machine kind of look to it. Heavy armor plates right in the front, nothing stylized about them, it's just big lumps of, I'm assuming, some kind of metal. Little stabilizer sections up on the upper clavicles, and overall the color scheme has that kind of militaristic feel to it. Again, dark colors, that olive green which will camouflage you in space, I guess it won't. And I'm really hoping we do see the fully kind of green version of the Gelgoog we did see later in the anime. The arms of the Gelgoog are very simple. It's just kind of large areas of white. There is some detail in there to pan line up to kind of bring out that detail. Little shields on the back of the arms, but again, stripped down, simple, mass-produced military machine. This vibe continues the whole way around, even around to the backpack. Again, basic thrusters. These aren't big fancy wings or anything similar to that. We do have a lot of kind of color inaccuracies around here. A lot of the little kind of sub thrusters and stabilizers and stuff on there, as well as some of the piping is meant to be, or should I say underneath the piping, should be in a different color of gray. Kind of similar to what I would have done on this version. As you can see, there's meant to be a lot more kind of painted detail. This all comes in just one color mainly, but it is around on the back. Down to the underpants now, and again, the colors combination here is very nice. Not something you see too often. The olive green recessed into the white sections is a really cool combination I've never seen before, and I think it looks great. Again, stripped down, basic, Some side skirts come from around the back to protect the joints, but very basic. When it comes to the legs, I love the color layout of this. Instead of just being straight all the one color, it's broken at the upper thigh from that dark gray, then into the white. I like to see this kind of shift in color designs when it does come to Gundam model kits, because usually we get a lot of the samey sort of stuff all of the time, so a new kind of color patterning is always very nice. Again, some stickers in the build here for the yellow sections on this split part of the armor. It is a little disappointing that it is a sticker, but they're simple to attach on and they don't look too bad. The detail around the rear of the leg is absolutely stupendous. This is probably the nicest looking aspect of this particular high grade, one of the nicest looking high grade legs around. The detail has a lot of thrusters, a lot of kind of safety bars, as well as the propellant tanks in the upper legs and the lower legs. This is designed with actual function in mind. It's not just a magical big mecha leg with no kind of real detail on it besides a couple of thrusters in the bottom of the feet. That doesn't really make a whole lot of sense per se. This is cool. There's propellant in those legs, and it's just cool to be able to see where it's stored. Jumping now into the comparison, and there's both Gelgoogs beside each other so you can see the variation in color between the two. I really do think the breaking up of the upper thigh armor is a very nice touch. Again, something I'd like to see a little bit more in gunpla. More atypical kind of color patterns like that. Anyway, as to the size comparison, the Gelgoogs are pretty small compared to a standard size Gundam, next to the G-Quax Red Gundam, G-Quax itself, and the G-Fred. So moving on into the accessories, and there's the BOCATA'S Gelgoog with absolutely everything that it comes with, which is the same as the other Gelgoog, to be honest. That is a pair of hands, one with that nice anchor wire segment. We've got a pair of these little beam rifles, which are very, very cool, like beam pistols. We've got one beam saber, but there is an additional beam on the runners if you need a spare, as well as this little section here, which is an adapter for attaching all of the weapons onto the back of the Gelgoog right here. So first up, I'm going to get the Gelgoog into the air. You guys ask me a lot of the time what is the stand I use. It's the Simple Stand by Good Smile Company, 3 of them for about €12 or $1, so about €4 or $1 a pop. I love these things, they are the greatest. They come in the hex bases or square bases, and they're constantly adjustable, so you can pretty much get your kit into whatever pose you want, and it's great for 1/44th scale displays. When it comes to the hands in here, first off we've got a pair of fists. They are a little bit white in the back there, as you can see. They just attach on into the back of the rear armor. As for the optional hands, when you don't want a hand, you just pop it off. We've got a widespread that looks exactly like that right there, so the molding is pretty nice. When it comes to the other alternate hand, wait, that is also for on this side, so both alternate hands are left hand alternate hands, so no alternate hand for the right hand side. And when you do attach that on, it looks like that right there. Next up then, we've got a beam saber with a short chubby pink beam, and that just pops on into the hand just like so. And as far as I know, the other beam saber can attach into the end like so, so you don't have a spare beam. Both beams are used for this kind of Gundam Seed style end-to-end connection. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, that right there is what BOCATA'S Gelgoog looks like, equipped with the double-ended beam saber as well as that little anchor section shooting on out. When the beam saber is not in use, you can pop off both of those beams, attach this little adapter segment onto the butt flap, and this is for storing all 3 weapons. You just slot the beam saber into the top circle section just like so, for nice and effective storage. So last up in here is the pair of beam spray guns, and I'm really happy that Bandai included an actual pair because, well, a pair of small beam rifles like a pair of beam pistols just looks badass when wielded akimbo. So attaching these the usual sandwich way, open the hand like a sandwich to slice the bread, throw in the weapon like it's the ham, close it all up, your sandwich is made, and slap on the 2 hands, and automatically, without even doing anything at all, it just looks so damn cool. More Gundam pistols, please. Anyway, there it is in a little bit of a pose with those 2 Gundam beam rifle pistols, aka sprayed guns, attached on. Overall, this looks absolutely badass. Again, just like the other kit through and through and through, but it's good enough to build twice. And I will build it thrice if they make the green one too. Alright, so jumping on into the articulation, this is a nice plastic on plastic build. It's lightweight and it is very strong. The design of the joints here again is very simple. They're mainly kind of just pegs in the elbows, a very robust, nice knee joint. We do have a great bend in the knee. Alright, well that's not the knee, that's the toe. And overall, everything has just been very smartly designed. Again, if you do want to see a little bit more information about all the various points of articulation, you can check out my review of the other red version of the Gelgoog. The backpack bits like to fall off quite easily. They're just standard cup and ball joints, but There we go, that is what we get out of the usual pose. Now, it can't kind of balance itself. Actually, no, that's not big enough to shove in there to hold him up. Let's use a Gundam to hold him up. That is basically what we get. Again, if you do want to see every little bit of the Gelgoog's articulation, check out that other review because I've done pretty much everything in that one. So yeah, it's kind of on the screen right now so you can see what it can and can't do. I love posing this particular high-grade kit. There's some kits out there that I love because they have a good articulation balance with being a nice, solid, simple kit. And they're just fun to have on your desk to pose all of the time. They're not too overly finicky. There isn't too many moving parts that, you know, things can unpose while you're posing it. It's just a perfect little balance. It's like this, as well as some other kits out there like the Jim Jim. They're just so good at it. Solid, effective posers. So anyway, that right there is it for the review, and there's not really much else I can say about this that I didn't say the last time. This is a fantastic kit. Again, there are some details that need to be painted out of box. There are some little issues like that, but otherwise it's a rock solid, tiny, brilliant little poser that just looks so real robot. The amount of detail and thought put into the design of the legs on this is just incredible. The only real bad point I find with it is the backpack parts can pop off easily enough because they're simple ball in socket joints, but besides that, it's so much fun. The weapon options, the weapon storage options, pretty much everything about it is so cool. Anyway, the ranking is the same as before. I'm throwing up the footage the same as before. So if you do want to know more about this, well, same as before. Check out the other video. As always, thank you so much for coming back to another build day of Buildmas, and I'll see you again tomorrow. So see ya. As always, this video right here and every single video I make would not be possible without each and every one of you guys who watches this video. And special thanks at the end of this video right here to those who support on the channel memberships as well as over on Patreon, including Caleb Engelhart, Joe, OG59061, Scotty Thomas, and Simon.